How did a military mix-up improve everything? I was supposed to be sent to Germany for a cushy desk job processing paperwork. 3 years of communications training, perfect for a nice European assignment away from combat zones. Instead, some clerk mixed up my orders with another soldier. Same last name, similar service number. I ended up on a transport to Afghanistan while Private Johnson got my cozy assignment in Munich. Figured it out at the airport when they handed me desert camouflage instead of the dress uniform I was expecting. By then, the plane was already taxiing. Military doesn't exactly let you change your mind mid-deployment. Arrived at this remote outpost in Helmand province expecting to spend my tour fixing communication equipment. Reality hit fast when mortars started falling 20 minutes after I stepped off the helicopter. Base commander needed someone to train Afghan National Army soldiers on radio procedures. My supposed expertise made me the obvious choice, even though I'd never taught anyone anything in my life. These Afghan soldiers were tough as nails but had zero technical training. Most couldn't read, let alone operate complex radio systems. Language barrier made everything 10 times harder. Started with basic concepts using hand signals and drawings in the dirt. Slowly built up their understanding. Took weeks to teach what should have been a 2-day course. But something amazing happened. Working so closely with these guys, I learned their culture, their language, their way of thinking. They taught me Pashto while I taught them communications. 6 months in, we were functioning like a real unit. Afghan soldiers calling in accurate reports, coordinating with coalition forces, saving lives with timely intelligence. Then the Taliban launched a major offensive. Our base was surrounded for 3 days. Regular supply drops impossible due to heavy anti-aircraft fire. My Afghan partners stepped up in ways no one expected. They used their radio training to coordinate with village elders, set up supply lines through routes only locals knew. Food, ammunition, medical supplies flowed in through networks that had existed for centuries. My communication training had given them the tools to organize ancient trade routes into modern military logistics. We held the base, no casualties. Taliban withdrew after realizing they couldn't cut our supply lines. After the battle, Afghan Army general visited our outpost. Wanted to meet the American who'd turned his soldiers into communication experts. Turned out these same soldiers had been written off as hopeless by previous trainers. Too uneducated, too set in their ways, not worth the effort. But necessity forced me to find methods that worked. No choice but to adapt, improvise, connect with them as human beings instead of just trying to download technical knowledge. The program expanded. Other bases requested similar training. I spent my entire deployment traveling between outposts, teaching Afghan soldiers not just radio procedures but leadership, logistics, coordination. 2 years later, those same units were operating independently, calling in their own air support, coordinating complex operations, training new recruits without American supervision. Got home to find Johnson miserable in his Munich assignment, spent 3 years stamping forms and updating databases, never left the office, never challenged himself, never made a real difference. Meanwhile, that mix-up changed my entire career path, applied for special forces, got accepted based on my deployment experience, spent the next decade training foreign militaries around the world. Johnson, still processing paperwork somewhere, different base, same boring job, sometimes asks if I want to trade places. The funny part is, I almost sued the army over that administrative error. Lawyer said I had a clear case for improper assignment, could probably get compensation and reassignment. Instead, I sent a thank you letter to whatever clerk screwed up my orders. Best mistake anyone ever made for me. 20 years later, still get messages from Afghan soldiers I trained. Some became officers, others started businesses, a few immigrated to America with their families. The communications training opened doors I never knew existed, not just for me, but for them too. Skills transfer across cultures when you take the time to build real relationships.